It's Tuesday evening, just past 6 p.m. UK time. This is the spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show, I hope everybody can hear me. Let me just make sure. Blessed Radio is on mute. That isn't not good. One moment. Good evening, listeners. This is Blessed Radio. It's Tuesday evening and it's just gone past 6 p.m. UK time. This is the spiritual discussion program. I'm Saad in South East London. With me, as usual, is Gregory. Let me tell you the weather here. It's overcast and I'll call it between mild and warm. Gregory, how are you and how's the weather where you are?
One is fine and it's very warm.
Very warm. Okay, good. So welcome, listeners, to this spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. This week's topic is intuitive or counterintuitive. Intuitive or counterintuitive. If you wish to join in the discussion with any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers are again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Abdul Shin, the hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for discussion tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And there if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. And there you can type in any questions or comments. Agree. As you know, I like to look up the meaning of the words in the dictionary. They look up the words in the topic in the dictionary. So the first word there is intuitive in our topic. And here in the dictionary it says, having intuitive meaning is having the ability to know or understand things without any proof or evidence. Having or characterized by intuition. What do you say about this definition, Gregory?
That is quite remarkable, because there is a stress to know without proof. Such a definition in itself does not swing in the laws of creation or the laws of nature. However, many may use it.
Thank you, Gregory, for that response. And when you were answering it, I was thinking maybe they could have qualified that physical proof or evidence rather than just proof.
Correct.
Yeah, because yeah, and of course what we have been finding in our shows in the past as well, these definitions in the dictionary, they're very earthly or let's say by default, they're earthly, and so they don't consider the spiritual. Most of the time, they don't consider the spiritual. So, uh, and um, and so that means they don't look at, so because they don't consider the spiritual automatically, they're looking only for the physical. So that's probably why it doesn't say more. But yes, so thank you for pointing that out.
Then you can already understand that such as they themselves just mentioned is counterintuitive.
Right. Okay. You're already going to the second word. Very good. Okay. Thank you. So, all right. Let's look at what it says about counterintuitive then in the dictionary. So they say if something is counterintuitive, it's the opposite of intuitive. Well, I think that's a very obvious one. Anyway, then it continues. In other words, it is not easily understood in an instinctive, unconscious way. There's an example they give as well, Gregory. A red light for go and a green light for stop would be highly counterintuitive, for example. So let me just repeat that because sometimes these things are a bit long. So I'll say, so this is the definition of counterintuitive. If something is counterintuitive, it means that it is the opposite of intuitive. In other words, it is not easily understood in an instinctive or unconscious way. What do you say about this, Gregory?
What makes it interesting is that which is counterintuitive has to be qualified in an intuitive way. So you find that in your statements, which was quite precise, many of these things go back to the default, which is highly earthly, highly intellectual. Because along the line, that which is spiritual is not even recognizable anymore. And so they use that which they understand, which is something that has to be dealt with proofs, complicated proofs step by step. So there are definitions. For it to make sense, that which is counterintuitive must also be qualified or defined in an intuitive way. So these definitions which they have really do not hold.
Thank you for that, Gregory. As usual, as we go further into the program, things will become clearer. This is just a start now, and that's why we always start with the definition so that we can have somewhere to start with. Now, there's a statement here, Gregory, I would like to look at. It says, counterintuitive behavior means that actions intended to produce a desired outcome may generate opposite results. It has been said that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Things can get worse before getting better, or vice versa. One can win or lose for the wrong reason. Let me repeat these things because, again, maybe I should just go one sentence at a time. So Gregory, let me just do one sentence at a time and then examine it. Okay. So counterintuitive behavior means that actions intended to produce a desired outcome may generate opposite results. Let me see. Is that, yeah, so is that correct there, Gregory?
As with everything, you find statements such as you just read out are subjected to the limitations of their personal perceptions. The desired result. If those results are in accordance with the laws of creation, the laws of nature, and those results, those desired results are pure enough, then the possibility is that, yes, they will manifest. If, however, those results, so-called desired results, are not in accordance with these laws, in all naturalness, that will not happen. Therefore, many should examine the contents of that which they hold there. You don't expect, because you had a thought, you should go to the farm and you go to the farm and plant maize or wheat, and then you have some desired results to have mango trees. The question is, that is just not possible. But many will argue that is their desired results. That is why it is qualified if these desired results are in accordance with the will of the Almighty, are in accordance with the laws of creation, then the probability is very high. Else, it is not.
Thanks very much again for your clarification there, Gregory. So there's a context, what you're pointing to, that these activities, intentions and goals and desired outcomes, they must operate within these laws of creation, or as another way to express it is the will of the Almighty. So that must be taken into account when otherwise, let's say we're having some fantasy intentions or dreams, and fantasy doesn't happen. Let's say maybe once in a blue moon it might, but not really. You can't expect that. So yes, thank you for bringing that out there, Gregory. So again, each time we go through these points, we are realizing there's a context that has not been considered. People are just making statements and not, they're thinking this is just how reality is, but they don't really know the full picture of what is this reality. So, the environment, let's say. Let me continue, Gregory. So there's another one, as a continuation of this sentence or point. It has been said the path to hell is paved with good intentions. So that's, again, it sounds counterintuitive. That's what they're saying, yes. Would you like to say something on that there, Gregory?
But again, you've already found an answer to it. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. Good intentions in what context? In the context of man, or in the context of the laws of creation through which all that exists came into existence? These are the questions that everyone must ask themselves. If the so-called good intentions vibrates or swing unconditionally in accordance with these laws, then in all naturalness, that path will lead to that which is good, which is upwards, and not downwards, and not to hell, where all sorts of inconsistencies happen. So you already struck it right. The context is always taken out, and therefore the import of the meaning is lost completely.
Thanks again for that, I will call it re-clarification. Let me continue again, Gregory, and again, the same point about counterintuitive behavior. So it says, things can get worse before getting better, or vice versa. Actually, that sounds very similar to the previous sentence. It said that our path to hell is paved with good intentions. So, yeah, so things can get worse before getting better, or vice versa. And one can win or lose for the wrong reason. So, Gregory, anything you would like to point out on that one, on this sentence?
All these that you had read out can be classified or categorized within the same domain because they all lack the necessary framework. Which framework is what is needed before even these statements are made? Therefore, you find such, one may say it is counterintuitive, because that which really is intuitive, the inner core of the vibration of the human personality, such vibrations tend to suck up to their origin and not down. So you find it is the same thing. Statements which have no basis.
Thank you very much again, Gregory, for this response and answer. I'm now thinking we should look at this, what is intuitive and what is counterintuitive, in the sense of we have looked at the definition, but let's give some example of it, and to give a clearer picture, because some people may not know what is intuitive, meaning, I mean, already there was in this sentence, instinctive, Gregory. So are these intuitive and instinctive one and the same?
Intuition is very different from that which is instinctive. That which is instinctive arises from the feeling of the human personality. That means its basis is within the body. That which is intuitive, the basis for that is the human spirit, the inner core of man. Since the connection with the spirit is so loosened, and many do not consider it as such, therefore most of the vibrations which are so very fine are ignored, and the heavy vibrations that have arisen from instinct are considered. Therefore, one must stress that that which is instinctive is not that which is intuitive.
Thank you, Gregory, for that. Just to say that again, it's about, so the instinctive is related to the body, while the intuitive is related to the, or intuition, we are calling it instinctive and intuitive. But of course, we can go to the root of the word, which is intuitive is from intuition, and instinctive is from instinct. But and so going back, instinct is related to the body, feelings coming from the body, while the intuition is coming, we We don't use the word feeling for intuition because although it will come across as a feeling, but for clarification or for clarity, we will not use the word feeling for the intuition. And because the reasoning is the intuition is coming from the spirit or the human personality, as you're putting it, Gregory. So, and they are two different things. But we do in our language, day-to-day language, call them the same. So this is really important to clarify that actually they're two different things. Intuition and instinct are two different things, not as they are used in the day-to-day language. So we are referring in our topic tonight is intuitive for intuition and not instinct. So, Gregory, can we give some example of when there's instinct acting and when there's intuition acting? So there's some people can get more understanding of it.
Instinct stem from the body, albeit the finer bodies. So you will find that personality that has no physical body, that personality cannot talk about instinct. That personality may talk about its intuition. That which is referred to as instinctive, which has sprung from the body, varies from one season to the other. For that which is instinctive has the bearing on not only the season, but also what we take in as diet, what we consume. All these have impact. They have impact on the blood. And one can easily see that someone who consumes so much alcohol, his or her perception varies because of that which he or she has taken in. Whereas that which is intuitive, the vibrations that streams out from the spirit is very different. Only through practice will many be able to differentiate that which is instinctive and that which is intuitive. One very simple one which many easily take in is that of music. When someone listens to some beautiful music, whether he is drunk or not, whether he is ill or not, is immaterial. That music strikes an accord. It doesn't depend on the season. He or she is able to absorb that music and it's of benefit. It does not depend on the instinct. Whereas that which is instinctive depends again on the environment, which environment has a cumulative effect on the personality.
Thanks, Gregory. I just want to let the listeners know this is Blessed Radio, and it is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program, broadcasting on from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And if you wish to get more information on the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. Intuitive or counterintuitive. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And another way you can contact us, which is to go to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1. That's the number 1.com. And there you will find on the home page a box called Bless Chat, and you can type in any questions or comments there. And as I've already mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. And other ways you can listen to us, which is by going to YouTube. Go to youtube.com and then type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, Grail, message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on, let me make sure I get this right, Zeno. That's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. And Zeno is ZENO, in case I didn't say so. ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. Now, Gregory, let me look at another aspect. What do we mean by saying intuitive or counterintuitive? So, Gregory, is the intuitive or intuition, is that the same as common sense? And counterintuitive can be said as counter common sense?
There have been many expressions that refer to that common sense. Maybe when one considers all that is involved, it might become very clear. Sense is a perceptive ability, like a sensor. And therefore, when one is talking about perception, there are 5 senses which generally we refer to. Now, when one is referring to common sense, The question is, which of the senses is common to all of these five senses? To be able to answer that question, one must look at, or one must examine one's intuition. The intuition, which is an impression, a picture without words. That picture can trigger smell. That picture can trigger voice. That picture can also trigger the sense of touch. Therefore, some with a sound intuition came to the realization that that which is referred to as common sense or common sensing is the intuition. For it is the intuition that is the basis for the representation, because it is the intuition that excites all these senses. Therefore, the intuition is common to all of them. And that is why, for some, common sense is sometimes equated to intuition. Indeed, it is.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for that. And I will say by default, what you are saying, which is intuitive being common sense, then counterintuitive must be counter common sense. So by default. So thank you. Now, another thing I'd like to look at, Gregory, is this intuitive, being intuitive or using intuition, is that the same as using our intelligence, or is it intelligence? Let me call it, yes. Is the intuition intelligence?
When you have the scenario where the human personality, using his five senses, using the brain, which is now purified and is able to sense rightly in accordance with the laws of nature, the laws of creation, you have that personality is now able to articulate whatever challenges, or most of the challenges that it comes across. Then it is said the person is intelligent. Else, whoever is unable to articulate one's intuition using the senses which is granted to the personality, then most of the time that person is said not to be intelligent, because one can already see it. The intuition flashes, presents picture or present moving pictures. It is the person who is able to interpret these pictures aright that is intelligent, not those who take the pictures without any understanding. This presentation is very different from what many consider, where a barrage of pictures are assembled and they are not filtered because there are so many distractions which tend to shift the correct presentation from the right manifestation. So the way intelligence has been used, the word intelligence has been used, has been very wrong.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for your answer. Again, as usual, what you're pointing is there has to be the right context in any subject that we are looking at. And people just use words, making us, let's say, an assumption or even a presumption that, oh, it's all earthly. These things are earthly, and that is intelligence, for example, and completely neglecting or not being aware that there's a world beyond the earthly, which one part is the spiritual. So even though we have this word spiritual, the concept of it is not really clear for people. And I'm not even sure what people think what is spiritual. Gregory, maybe this is the right time now to clarify that. What is spiritual, Gregory? Earthly, I think we all are familiar with, but how can we get a right conception of what is spiritual?
That is a very pertinent question. Why? Because it's so simple that the answer becomes personal. In the sense, for any human personality who is asleep, who is unable to sense further than that which is earthly, such a personality only provides proof that he or she has subdued his and therefore is unable to make any progress along that direction. So the question then comes up, how do we know that the impressions which are out there are of the spirit? And the question is very simple, but the answer can only be found by those who are not satisfied with the everyday expressions which is used. The question remains, who are you? Who am I? Am I basically of flesh and blood? Or is the flesh and blood only a tool? It is the human personality that needs to answer that. For when someone is discussing, he will say, my body, me, myself is the inner core. For some, when they go to sleep, they are able in their sleep to wander to different areas. The question then remains, what is it that is wandering from one place to the other? Of course, it cannot be you, not your physical body, because it is assumed or it is known to be asleep. So what is it that has wandered away, that's able to perceive waves of vibrations from different areas? What is it that is loosened, that is able to see purer pictures? It is that which is the core, whose vibrations are intuitive. That is the spirit that is referred to. Which spirits, which vibrations are also subjected to the laws of nature, the laws of creation. The further question is, many people ask, how do I know that it is my spirit that is communicating and not my intellect? That is another very simple yet challenging, because the personality didn't ask themselves, who are I? Am I of the body, or am I of a different species? It is that species that is capable of using the physical body as a tool. That species which is non-earthly, that species is what is referred to in the first instance as the soul. And the inner core that activates the soul, which soul then activates the physical body, that inner core is what is categorized as the spirit.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for, how can I say, bringing again these concepts to clarifying these concepts, and even explaining what that these concepts are. These other, you could say, forms of existence, which are again being neglected by the human beings. So we use these words: spirit, soul, mind, body, but almost interchangeably, without knowing really what these, or not being clear about what each of these forms are. And the body seems to be the easy one to recognize and realize, but then the other one, the soul and the spirit, or even the mind, are not so clear. So Gregory, maybe let's go through again a little bit step by step these, I could say, different forms, and I'm using the word form simply to distinguish them. And then it does, and yes, it doesn't say everything what I want to say there, but it makes us realize they're different. So as I said, we know there's the physical body, and that form we are quite familiar with. And there, Gregory, in that body, we do have our, you've mentioned the 5 senses where the instincts are active. There's also our mind, the brain, let's call it, which is of course physical. And Gregory, just to clarify, you mentioned the word intellect there earlier on, and intelligence. So, and again, I want to clarify these concepts. So, is the intellect, you could say, the same as our mind? And yeah, let me just ask that first. The physical, because I think you mentioned the intellect is a physical thing. So, and our mind or the brain is physical as well. So, let me get this question clear. So, when we talk about intellect, is that the mind? Another way to call the mind? Yeah. And I have a sub question to follow it, but let me just ask this one for as I said, to go through these forms to get clarification about the forms. So, is the mind and the intellect the same thing?
The intellect is the seat, is the area where earthly experiences are collated. When these experiences are collated and processed, in that processing, it has an effect, a retroactive effect on the physical body. But sometimes, depending on the severity of the experiences, these experiences has an impact from the frontal brain to the back brain. From the back brain, its vibrations then spread to the spirit. What many refer to as the mind is more of the seat of the intellect, and in its emanation, before it gets to the back brain, when you have all these processes considered, to a very limited extent, the back brain, that is what many refer to as the mind. So one may say the mind is more of 90% intellectual processing and maybe 10% of intuition mixed with it. So you can find how from one it leads to the other. There are times impressions that are coming from within. These impressions have a strong impact on the frontal brain, and the personality then acts, in quotes, unconsciously. One may take the reverse, in which the severity of some experiences is so strong that it has an impact on the back brain immediately. And in that case, fine is able to have an effect on the spirit. So you will find that the mind is not 100% of the intellect, but depending on how purified one's perceptions are, if the perceptions are highly purified, then you have someone that is able to render pictures, which pictures come from out of the spirit, as you may have with so-called famous musicians or painters. And if one to be honest enough to ask musicians, how did you compose this music? Many will tell you, it just occurred to me and I wrote it down. I did not spend so much time, doing the calculation, the balance. And it turns out well. So you find in that particular scenario, not much intellectual rumination was considered. But again, it depends on the personality through practice. This is very common with music. It's very common in the arts. Not so in the sciences, which is very different. Because in the sciences, there is the need to make a representation to processes in nature, in creation. And it becomes very challenging for many to be able to have the right forms to do that. So the mind strictly speaking, is not 100% the intellect, but it's a process, maybe halfway or 1/4 way from this spirit, from the back brain to the frontal brain. At the same time, it can be influenced. It can be influenced depending on how that personality has lived his life. For someone who drinks a lot, like a drunkard, when that person sees pictures again and again, these pictures are real for the personality because the representation of what he or she has perceived have been grossly distorted for that personality, but they are real. So, but much of what is discussed now will become much clearer when one examines the work in the light of truth, where there are many representations, many lectures that seek to clarify that which today we have only hinted at.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer and explanation and picture you're painting about the mind and the, you could say, intellect, or the activity, you can say, of the mind. And all of these processes, as you say, Gregory, they're just, one goes into the other one back, two-way, they are processes. So, and we can only, as Gregory is saying, can give you a hint about it or introduction about it rather than go into detail, because that will be a very long explanation. So yes, let me let the listeners know. I've got more questions to ask you, Gregory, but let me just let the listeners know. You're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. Intuitive or counterintuitive. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, the number 1.com. And there you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. And as I've just mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, the number 1 there. So, Gregory, we're going slowly but surely to these concepts which are relating to this, our topic for tonight, which is intuitive and counterintuitive. We have the body, which everybody knows, and then we have the spirit, and there's a way they are connected and the way they communicate with to each other, or there's a process, let's say, by which the spirit communicates with the body and vice versa. And we have started with the talking about you could say the mind or intellect. Mind combines the process where the intuition or the spirit is working to the body, let me try to make it a bit clearer. So where the spirit is communicating to the body through the brain, let's say, and this process in the brain, you can also say, is using the mind. There's 2 parts on it. The intellectual part, you could say physical, intellectual part, and there's the spiritual part, which is the intuition. And this is really basically the process of communication. And obviously intuitive is spiritual, and the intellectual is the material or earthly. Let's call it that way to make it clearer. Now, Gregory, we have also mentioned there's a soul and spirit, and people again like to think of the soul and the spirit as one and the same. So please, can you clarify if they are the same or similar, or how can we get a correct understanding of it? That.
Thanks for this particular question. To give a very plain and pertinent picture, the need is there to have a concept, an understanding of the structure of creation. The structure starting from the beginning of creation, that which is spiritual came first. That is with the beginning of the let there be light. And as the surging of the flames from divinity cools down, first you have spiritual, and further after that, there is the so-called animistic, and finally we have the world of matter. The world of matter is basically for covering. It's used as substances for covering, for experiencing, as a tool. So when that which is of spirit needs to experience, it needs to take on the appropriate substances in order to experience in the region which it is to go through. Therefore, from that which is spiritual, when it sinks down, it takes on substances as a cover from that which is so-called animistic, and subsequently, as it wishes to experience further, it comes into the world of matter. And there are different variations, different classifications in the world of matter. There is the ethereal matter with many subdivisions. So as it comes down, it takes on the covering until finally, for it to experience here on earth, it takes on the tool which a mother has prepared for it, which is the physical body. It needs to use that in order to experience, because that is what is available to it for it to experience intensively. When it needs to go back, the first that it does is to jettison the gross material physical body that we all recognize. At the same time, it still has all the other coverings. At that point where it is no longer having the use of the physical body, it is called the soul. And it is still the soul as it makes progress back home to its origin. So in the first case, when it ditches the physical body, it is the soul. When it ditches the ethereal body, it's still the soul, but much finer than it was before. And as it goes up, it's still the soul when it gets to the animistic. And finally, when it ditches the animistic, it's back home in its species. Then it is a human spirit who, if it has experienced and has matured enough, it now takes on a spiritual covering. So that which is referred to as the soul is the spirit with the covering that it needs to experience when it leaves its origin, the spirit realm. Whilst on earth, we are able to recognize the personality first through the physical body. When it dropped the physical body, then it is referred to as a soul. But the inner core still remains a spirit.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and again picture you're painting. I want to go back to the intuition or intuitive aspect now. We already said the intuition is from the spirit, or even we can say voice of the spirit. Now, sometimes, Gregory, people use this word gut feeling or phrase or term. they feel something in their gut. So now gut is a physical thing, but they equate that with the intuition. So can I just clarify that, Gregory? When people are talking about their gut feeling, is it the intuition or is it some other feeling? Because it says gut feeling. So yeah, please, can you help us with that?
If it is said gut sensing, yes, then it is more precise than gut feeling. For the solar plexus is closer to the gut. The solar plexus is the connection between the soul and the physical body. From the solar plexus, impressions now impact on the back brain. So you have the scenario where many do not know how best to express it, and they call it feeling. It is an impression of either joy, but more or less, more in the area of sorrow or of fear. For you scarcely hear people talking of gut feeling of happiness. It is when that which is sorrowful that shakes the human personality to its depth. That is where you hear of, oh, my gut feeling. The expression itself is right because you have that the impression is so intense, and for some, not very many, they are able immediately, or fear arises quickly within them, and that is where they feel it. So we hear the word gut feeling, whereas it is more of an impression from the solar plexus, which solar plexus is near the guts, or is around the same neighborhood with the guts.
Thanks very much again, Gregory, for this clarification on gut feeling. Or gut sensing, which is probably the better way to say it. Now, earlier, Gregory, we were talking about intuition or being intuitive is something of knowing, or the definition of being intuitive is knowing. So, for somebody who has asked a question about inner knowing of reality, or true reality, between right and wrong. So, and they're saying this inner knowing is different. So, inner knowing is the knowing about the true reality of what is right and wrong, compared to what society's understanding, present understanding, might be. Now, I thought of, I wanted to look at an example that people are familiar in this, let's say, in current times, or for some time now, where, let's say, people believe in a particular way that this is right, and the other way they say that is wrong. So, example I want to look at, Gregory, is where they say abortion is a women's right. They have it's their body, and they have a right if they want to have that or not. While others say no, it's not right. The, it is a life. By having an abortion, you're killing a life. So this is wrong. Um, so and now we so the topic is, of course, intuitive or counterintuitive. So, and of course, there's logic involved as well in this matter. So you think, oh, yes, it is women body, and it's logically correct that they have a right to do what they want with that body. You know, uh, and then somebody says, wait a minute, no, there's a life coming, and when you have an abortion, you're killing that life that is coming. So you now wonder, oh, which one is what is the right way? Because each one claims they are right, and now the question is, some societies they're saying yes, we agree with this right of women for abortion, and other parts of society or parts of the world they say no, it's not right. So I'm sorry, I'm getting very long-winded, but the reasoning for the reason for going into all this is to understand what can we how can we know what is right or wrong. Is it through intuition, or something might sound intuitive, something may sound counterintuitive? That's what I'm trying to say, because logic says, oh yeah, woman has a right for this, and the other people say, no, you don't have a right. There is a life coming, and you don't have a right to interfere with that life. So Gregory, how do we how can I say, look at this from the view of the intuition and counter, being intuitive and being counterintuitive?
Of course, there are rights and there are responsibilities. Each personality has the free will to determine how they wish to be in accordance with the laws of creation. There are responsibilities, which are the consequences of what they have decided or not decided. Those are the responsibilities which each personality must bear. How they respond to these responsibilities, which responsibilities means that whatever they themselves have sown, it is that which they themselves must reap. Then it becomes very clear. No one may decide for another how they wish to live their lives, but one may advise another. That advice is not force. Whether the human personality decides to live its life in such a way that it is able to handle the reciprocal effect which has accrued from its decision, and is able to free itself such that it's able to rise upwards as a conscious and subsequently self-conscious personality, that's a different story altogether. So when there is the talk of abortion or not abortion, the human personality has a free will. For if you say, please don't do that, then they will do it. If you say, okay, go ahead and do it, then they'll say you are supporting me. One thing must be clear. The human personality has the free will to decide, particularly all that pertains to their intrinsic rights. Others may only advise. So the debate sometimes is meaningless because one wants to impress on another, you must do this or you must not do this. As to what happens during pregnancy, a temporary home is being built by the woman. A temporary home is built for the prospective human personality who wishes to make use of this body in order to experience here on earth. As at when pregnancy starts, depending on the reciprocal activities, the prospective soul is nearby, hoping, looking forward to making use of this body which is being prepared. And if subsequently the prospective mother is sensitive enough, it can feel or it can sense the gentle vibrations or sometimes heavy vibrations, depending on her inner purity, is able to attract either a gentle soul or a very rough one. If subsequently, along the line, it decides to ditch the body which is already being prepared, then the awaiting soul becomes disappointed, for in its own personal expectation, it wishes to make use of this physical body which has been cut short abruptly. Such disappointments have an impact not only on the soul, but also on the prospective mother who has now made a U-turn. There are many scenarios that abound. However, each scenario has its reciprocal activities, has its consequences. The nature of these consequences are personal. Therefore, some people may say, oh, it is murder. Of course, there are so many murders. When it is said you should not kill, people kill with their tongue, they kill with the gun, they kill with anything they can lay their hands on. This one particularly is killing of a body which is supposed to be of benefit to a prospective soul who needed to hear experience. Such activities so have a strong impression on the mother or the murderer, such that when she leaves the physical body, that connection is still likely to be there. So is able to perceive of what she, at one time or the other, the decisions she has made, and the bodies which are attached to her due to the disappointment. These things are facts. Whether she agrees or disagrees whether it was murder or not murder, she herself will have to taste of it until that which is noble stays deep within her. For then she is able to make amends. Again, words or expressions of this nature, to come to a better appreciation, many need to examine this work and not just stay on the surface and argue. Only when they have dug themselves deep into it will many an answer become personal and there's inner clarity, such that before long, no one is here on earth forever in their physical body. When there is severance between the soul and the physical body, they are able to perceive of that which they themselves had sown. The repercussions becomes very clear. And if they are of noble personality, they are attracted upwards to joyful activities, else they are held down until they come to an appreciation. Then that debate will stop within them. That debate of abortion or no abortion will become clear within them. However, one thing must be very clear. The human personality has the absolute right to make decisions. That can never, ever be taken away from the human personality. So it then falls back. To be or not to be is not the question. For everyone wishes to be. The question now is how to be. In order to know how to be, the work in the light of truth has been granted to the human personality such that it can have clarity of the processes in nature, in creation, such that it can adjust itself to know how to be.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. And again, the picture you've painted. What's clear is, as you pointed out already, there is a decision which is personal and individual. So each person who makes a decision, they're responsible for their decision. And then there is another thing that you need to have an awareness of the processes involved in life. When people are, whichever woman is considering abortion to go ahead or not to go ahead, they have these, let's say, feelings, conflicting feelings or whatever, and the intuition is supposed to, let's say, we haven't set it up to this point, but it's really meant to be your guide, the voice of your spirit. And but if you have understanding of the process of the processes in creation, the process of this world that we are living, it can help as well to, arrive at the right understanding and decision, let's say. But it can, as I say, one man's food may be another man's poison. So you cannot say 100% this is the way it must be, this is right, and the other one is wrong. In one case, it may be that that is okay for this person, but another case it may not be. So it sounds conflicting, it sounds contradictory, but it's respecting the individual person and their situation and whatever that really applies to them, and only they. That's what, Gregory, you're pointing to. We can't all just jump in and say, no, that's wrong, or this is right, as if we have the all-knowing understanding. No, the person who's directly involved, they must come to their right answer themselves. So thank you for that answer there, Gregory. I just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uptrushing. And if you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. Intuitive or counterintuitive. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. There, if you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in there. And as I've mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is intuitive or counterintuitive. And of course, you can listen to our recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, I've got another scenario to look at with regarding to, you could say, in being intuitive or counterintuitive. This time, people, let's say, are, it's not whether they're vegetarian, but some people say, oh, we should be vegetarian or vegan, and others say, no, no, we should be okay to have meat as well. Now, and each side will come up with their own argument to support their view. You know, the vegans and vegetarians will say, "Oh, you're killing an animal to eat this animal. For you to eat the animal, you have to kill this animal, which is not a humane thing, and you're killing also a life there, which is not a good right thing either." And the others will say, um, "Oh, there's some things we cannot get from being vegetarian, and we need that from the animal or cattle, because normally it's well, yeah, most of the time we are eating, you can say cow or lamb or pig or something like this, sheep, and so on. So these are the cattle normally. So now again, Gregory, so I'm trying to see, is it intuitive or counterintuitive when you're assessing this issue? Intuitive, or let's say, yeah, maybe those people will say, oh, you say you do not kill, and then you go and kill an animal, and you're not supposed to kill, and you're killing life there. So this, to eat an animal is a counterintuitive. That's what some people will say. And I'm not sure what the other argument would be for intuitive, if it's intuitive or not. So, Greg, can you just look at this scenario and say, what is right or wrong, intuitive or counterintuitive, in the process here, to know whether you should be eating any cattle or not?
What one should be considering basically the framework of the laws of nature or of creation. One of the commonest scenario is that of farming. So much forest has been cut down for farms. And in cutting down this forest, you find that plants, which plants are supposed to help in regenerating oxygen, this oxygen or that process is stopped. Now there's a talk of greenhouse gases. What do we say about it? Nothing. Because of the greenhouse gases, because there's the decimation of the forest, we now have so much illness. We now have melting of the ice in the North Pole and the South Pole. Are all these helpful to the human personality? That is one scenario which has to be considered. As to whether one should eat meat or not eat meat, for some, if you eat meat, there will be complaints that, oh, maybe the life of an animal has been taken. It is said you should not kill. But mosquitoes are there, so maybe they should be allowed. Some gems are there. Maybe they should be allowed to have a free day. That's their decision. And then you then have that even these same people take it further and say, oh, the plants, leave the roses, decimate the rest. So you find that there's no consistency as such for those who make these statements. The physical body which they have, that physical body is an epoch over millennia, over time. And this same physical body has been, to a large extent, accustomed to the diet of meat. To suddenly dissociate it or to deprive it of that which is accustomed to, which has had an influence on its body or on the radiation of its body. That scenario is equivalent to a system which had been customized and is running smoothly, and all of a sudden there is brake suddenly applied to it. One may find that it may precipitate other reactions which are not desired. That these reactions or these reciprocal activities are not perceptible as such to the individual is only due to the insensitivity of the individual. But there is a way out. There could be, to some extent, a gradual withdrawal, rebalancing, rather than things done very suddenly. Again, these are only hints.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
There is a need to observe. For some who suddenly give up. Hello?
Yes, sorry, I was interrupting. I didn't realize. Please carry on.
Hello?
Yes, Gregory, can you hear me? Hello? Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here, but I think you can't hear me, Gregory. I'm actually here. Let me just send you a chat. Okay. What I'll do, I'll quickly come out. If you can't hear me, Gregory, I'll close and come out. 1 second. 1 second. How can I do that? Gregory, can you hear me now? Hello, Gregory? You're on mute at the moment, Gregory. Can you hear me at all? Okay. Somehow my connection seems to have gone. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you can hear me now, Gregory? Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sorry. And all right, thank you for your answer there. And what I'm noticing when you give an answer, it's like each one is responsible for their own getting an answer for themselves. So they must come to their own decision about what is right for them, and or not right for them. You know, again, that saying, one man's food is another man's poison. So if that's the case, then obviously you cannot prescribe to each person everybody must eat only meat, or everyone must only eat vegetable, become vegetarian. No, you cannot be so, how can I say, strict in this way that it must be only this or that, because it will not work for some people. So and why should they eat poison what is not right for them? So thank you for um, bringing this out. Um, Something a little bit different this time, Gregory. In politics, or it could be anywhere really, there are characters, politicians and so on. Some are, you can say, dull. Others are more bold and exciting. And then, and they have an appeal, or not an appeal sometimes. And yet, and of course, different people will be attracted to one type or another type. But I want to look at one aspect, Gregory, on this matter. So let's say these politicians or parties come up with policies, and one of them, let's say, is being very cautious rather than someone else who's being very bold. And the one who is being cautious, he's like a dull person, is dull, and the policies maybe. But then they are also, how can I say, doing something. Well, let's say a job could be mundane job, not so exciting as some others are looking for. However, it needs to be done, even if it's mundane. Like let's just, I pick this not to make example for everybody. Let's say sweeping the street or cleaning, and some people say, no, that's not an exciting job. This is just a boring job, but it's a necessary job, and it could be dull, like I say, but it maintains the, how can I say, the smooth running of a place. If you don't do it, then there will be a lot of mess and cause disease and so on. So the question on this matter, Gregory, is intuitively one might get excited about something, and another thing which looks boring intuitively, but it's necessary and needed. And so then people will say, oh, that's a counterintuitive. Maybe the intuition isn't right to say this is boring, and it's not important, not exciting, and so it's like ignore it. So my question there, Gregory, is I was talking about politician, but policy is one and the same, really, same type of. You can look at it both the same, similarly. So my question on this is, Gregory, is there a way to use the intuition, to I'm connecting with feeling, isn't it? Excitement and dullness, if that is a feeling. Is this really assessing intuitively or counterintuitively? I just want to get clarity. I'll use this example to again get clarification about it.
In any community, in any society, for the society to be upbuilding such that the individuals live a happy life, a healthy life, it must be one for all and all for one. That is what the intuition dictates, because one is part of the community. And therefore, the need is there to be able to contribute not only to the smooth running of the community or the society or the nations. In that case, there are no idle hands. Whether the tasks which are available are that of rocket science, or the tasks which are available are that of cleanliness, these remain tasks which are necessary for the maintenance, for the healthy lifestyle of the individuals of the society. So it is how the individual performs the task that counts. If the individual performs the task with joy in his or her heart to ensure the neighborhood, the surrounding is kept clean, then it has fulfilled the task which has fallen to as part of being a member of the society. If, however, that task is ignored, in which subsequently there are tons of rubbish that block the roads and therefore precipitates diseases, how would people then respond to it? Will they then turn around and say it's not a task which is upbuilding for the society? So, as with every task which are necessary for the upbuilding of the society, it is how the individual proceeds in accomplishing this task that counts. For the task where there are no idle hands, the tasks which have accrued from the society for the smooth running, where you have one for all and all for one, just as you have doctors, engineers, so also are musicians necessary. So also are cleaners necessary to accomplish the task that allows for the smooth running or for the joyful upswinging of the society, of the nation.
Thank you very much, Gregory. I want to ask one last question before we end the show now. So we have talked about the intuition and in being intuitive or being counterintuitive, and I was bringing up scenarios which were, let's say, causing some confusion or lack of clarity in making decisions. You talked about decisions, and I was wondering, Gregory, that is there, how can I say, some way where we are not applying, this confusion that we are having or lack of clarity that we are having? Is there where somewhere we are allowing, let's say, one to rule over the other, where you could say the intuition and the intellect, that were the two things we mentioned earlier, having a conflict, let's say. And I just want to ask if what is supposed to be the way, we're talking about right and wrong. So how can we come to a right understanding, in a scenario, in a situation? Should it be using the intellect and the intuition, or purely the intuition, or purely the intellect?
that which is right must be right only in accordance with the laws of creation, with the laws of nature, in which there is one for all and all for one. So it is not right or wrong according to the judgment of each individual. Therefore, that which is right, which is necessary for any community, is that which ensures that the society is able, or members of the society are able to work harmoniously with one another, where there is no violence, where there is no destruction, but there is the support for one another. That is what is right. And that is what a society is all about. For in working together as you have with a music ensemble, each one shares of the joys and the sorrows of the other. For in sharing, they are able to discuss and encourage each one to endure, to adjust, and to thrive subsequently. For were it not the case, then each person should have become an island. And you would have asked yourself, how could people then be born?
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of intuitive or counterintuitive. Hope you have enjoyed the discussion and learned something from the discussion. I now want to end the show with reading from the foreword of the Grail message, which is titled "For Your Guidance." The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such, it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Apushin. Dear listeners, if you wish to, if you want to find out more information on the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say good night? Goodbye.
Wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time, with another topic. Take care. All the best.